Hi guys, welcome back to Bigfoot's Kitchen. I'm Chef Bigfoot. I know it's been a little while. It's been a couple weeks. We were off with family vacation, and the week before that, just wasn't feeling it. So, struggling mentally and whatnot. So, gonna try to get back in the grind and post some content now. So tonight we are doing pork chops and mac and cheese. It's one of my son's favorites. Normally he's a Velveeta shells and cheese in the middle of the week kind of guy. My family loves those. We normally do that, but occasionally I make mac and cheese from scratch. That's what we're doing tonight. Pork chops are not fried; they're semi. I don't know. In all my years, I don't know what to call this. It's just kind of how we do them. They are sautéed, seared, something sort of semi-breaded. It's whatever. And then we got some fresh zucchini from a cousin's garden that we're gonna do. So let's take a look at what we're gonna need. So for the mac and cheese, we got Velveeta. I know. Just hang with me. We're not using just Velveeta, but that's how I make my cheese sauce. I don't start with a roux. I tend to break cheese sauces like that in the industry and stuff. So, um, you know, we got pasta, macaroni elbows, particularly, hot sauce, a little bit of mustard, classic French, whatnot, milk, and then whatever cheese you want. We got several semi bags in here. I think I'm going to stick to mostly the Italian and the Mexican four cheese. I'm normally a sharp cheddar person, but it's it's about what we have here. So now pork chops. These are boneless, not center cut. I'm not huge on paying the extra for center cut or whatever. Salt, pepper, garlic. Hopefully these will be thawed out by the time I cook. We're working on it. We use chicken breader, or I make chicken breader. My wife just happened to have found this, and we are going to try it. So I like house poultry. That's my favorite. And then zucchini and onion. Yeah. So we got some farm and some from the store, because we got a big family. So yeah, that's all you're going to need tonight. All right. So we're going to start the cheese sauce. A little bit of milk. About yay much. I'd say probably half a cup to a cup. All right. And then I don't cube this because it gets real messy on a cutting board. I just scoop it off with a spoon. So I'll be right back once I get all that done. Alright, so I'm back. And before anyone asks, the reason you cube cheese and stuff when you're melting it is to increase the surface area and let it melt faster. I could have threw the whole block in there. It would have taken a little longer. So, TV magic, we're going to... And it's done now. Melting. Nice and... Oops, sorry, the camera's not focusing. There we go. Nice and thin, all the way melted. We're going to season it first, and then we're going to have Littlefoot come add the other cheeses. But first, a little garlic. You can use the granulated over there, but I like just a little regular garlic. A little salt. I advise you put this in your hand first, not straight in. Hot sauce, I know I had Cholula out earlier, but I found my Texas Pete, and I prefer when I'm putting hot sauces in food, I like to use hot sauces made in the same region as the dish comes from. And mac and cheese is very much a southern thing. I like pepper. It's a southern thing, I guess. This, on the other hand, is not. This is a French thing. This is more of a German mustard, but it's a French thing with mustard and cheese sauce. Don't use yellow mustard. Whole grain or Dijon works great in cheese sauce. It adds a little depth of flavor. You don't want a lot. Just about a tablespoon for this amount. Oh, you hear my dinosaur back there. And so we're mixing all that in. Alright. Alright, and so Littlefoot here is going to put the cheese in. I put that little bit of taco we had in here. Italian, just pour it all in there, son. We're going to use the rest of that bag up. Very nice. The pot's a little full. Give me a handful of that, and I think we're just going to... Alright, so we added the cheeses. We're just going to incorporate that. It's hot enough that it should incorporate well. We'll come back to this in just a second. Just keep stirring. Bigger pot, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Would probably be better, but yeah.
It's time to make the pasta, and if you watch the other video of the pizza tortellini, you gotta salt your pasta water. And just make sure salty as the ocean. But do not taste it. I would not advise that. You'd probably hurt yourself a little bit.
Yep.
And then,
And we got 2 pounds of pasta tonight. We'll eat this mac and cheese probably for leftovers as well.
leftovers are always made of. But yeah, just get the elbow pasta, and dump it in those.
Alright, so this is our cheese sauce after we've incorporated the cheese. I like a little cheese pull action to it. You can go a little thinner. I wouldn't go any thicker because we're going to coat the noodles in this sauce and then bake it. Alright, so while we're waiting on the pasta to boil, I'm going to show you how to cut an onion up to go with the zucchini. So you take the top and bottom off, got a flat surface, straight through. For my chef friends, I apologize. It's not going to be a perfect julienne. These tiny little kitchen knives I have at home don't fit my hands great, but I will try to show the proper technique. Cut it in half. Anytime you hold a knife, you should pinch the blade, called the chef's pinch, whatever you want to call it. But pinch the blade so you're firm, claw hand, and then this is the motion I normally use with a knife, but this one's so small it's hard to do that. So. We're gonna go ahead and throw that onion in a pan, low heat, let it start to caramelize while we cut up the zucchini and wait on the macaroni to finish boiling. This is one of those things that cooks do well. I think is optimized time. You should always be doing something with your hands. I could be standing here staring at this, but I'm gonna be cutting. So I didn't think about it. Showing y'all how to break down a zucchini. You know, I forget these are not common knowledge things. Neck, I split the whole thing in half. The neck, as it starts to expand, I split them in half, just trying to get a little more uniform piece. And then, you know, you just go down through just like you did with the onion. Go a little bit thicker. There's a lot of water in zucchini and squash, so. So we're going in a casserole dish. Make sure you spray it down good. Your dishwasher will thank you. And my daughter does most of our dishes because the boys do laundry and other things. But everybody appreciates a sprayed pan. Alright, so we got the onions in the pan. They're caramelizing. By the way, you're going to want to preheat your oven. I do 425 because my oven here at home does not have a fan, so if I'm looking for 400, I go more to 425. If I go 350, 375 is kind of my standard at home, unless I'm going low and slow, which I go 325, 350 for that. So, okay, so we have our macaroni in the dish. We have our cheese sauce. Macaroni, cheese sauce. Macaroni, cheese sauce. So I know as we go through that sauce, it's going to look like there's a lot of sauce for the noodles. Add it all. Okay, listen. It's a lesson I couldn't get people to understand at the hospital. The oven does not make something moist. I don't care how much cheese it melts, it does not make it moist. It needs to be wet going in to be moist coming out. Add all the sauce. Alright, so Littlefoot here's going to add our cheese to the top of it. Go ahead. Go ahead. It's just more of the cheese we have, that Mexican style. We're just going to cover the top of it so it browns nicely in the oven. You shake it on out there. So a lot of people are going to ask, why don't I use egg? I don't like eggs in macaroni. Move the bag back. So there you go. I don't think you should be able to cut macaroni out in a square. Alright, back to our onions. Just keep stirring. Just keep stirring. We're just jump starting the onions so they caramelize a little more than the zucchini or squash does. That's our mac and cheese going in. I'm going to throw it in the oven. One hand. Don't recommend that for amateurs. It is still a little warm. Alright, so zucchini, we're going to oil. I'm going to toss that up with the salt, pepper, and garlic. Salt. Pow. Bam. Pepper. and garlic, just the basics. Like, it doesn't need to be crazy. And then we'll toss this up. I mean, sometimes I get in here with my hands. I have my kids get in here and stir it with their hands. Um, you know, just toss it up with the oil and the seasoning, and then we're gonna throw it out on a sheet pan. So we're out on a pan, and I'm just not happy with how it looks. What's that guy on TikTok says? If you're not sneezing, it ain't seasoned. So we're gonna add a little more oil, and ooh, that was real heavy, Isaac. We'll fix that. Salt, garlic, and pepper. And you can go ahead and throw these in the oven. I like these to almost burn, like get black. We could have fried them or sauteed them, but like what you're looking for with squash, or what I look for, is that like dark brown, crispy edges. That's the best parts to me. Oh, almost forgot our caramelized onions. Gonna add those to the top of it. So, yeah. So going in the oven. Pork chops in a Ziploc. We're gonna add the chicken breader. Oh, this is hot and spicy. I didn't realize that. Oh well. So I used the mild that we've got. We'll just touch the hot and spicy because after I tasted it, it is pretty spicy. And as I've told y'all before, I cook for kids mostly, so you know I can do everything I want. If I love it, but my kids don't eat it, then it's not gonna. It does me no good. You know what I'm saying? So try to gear almost everything I do towards them, but at a quality that makes me happy. You know, kind of my motto. And in the process, by adding a little bit of this, that, and the other, it kind of expands their palate. So we just got them nice and coated one time. Got a pan over here getting hot. Same one I caramelized onions in. I just wiped it out. We're gonna. All right. So pan's hot. Pork chops. I added oil to cover the bottom. I don't know if I've ever told y'all, but the way you see if oil is hot is you check how fast it runs in the pan. If it runs around like water, it is hot because room temp oil is thicker than water. But when it's hot, it is not. That's one of the reasons it's easier to come off in hot water than cold water, okay? Alright, so this is 4 pork chops in. It's a little crowded in here. I definitely don't recommend y'all do that. But, you know, 4 pork chops in. That's as many as will fit. If you go any further up the sides, you're losing heat. We're just looking for brown on the bottom. And you know what? I think I'm going to have to wash a pair of tongs because I'm definitely not flipping these by hand. Okay, so I'm getting a little color. I think we could leave it a little longer, but I'm trying to move this along. Get these right here in the oven. We're gonna go to this pan over here in a second. If I had a rack, I'd raise it up, but I don't have a drying rack at home. Just not something I have. But just getting them nice and hear that. Crispy on the outside, seared well, whatever you want to call it. And then we'll go to our pan and finish them up in the oven. Okay, in retrospect to what I said, looking at how far the oil comes up and flipping it and stuff, I'd say we're pan frying these, even if we're not exactly breading them traditionally. The pan fried pork chop. You know, and I think I always do this. I never intend to make gravy when I do this, but then I look at that fat that's left in there, and the little bit of flour that's already in there, and all I see is a pre-made, pre-seasoned roux. So, I mean, if that doesn't scream make gravy out of me, I don't know what does. Pork chops, seared up, nice and brown, going in the oven. That pan is hot, so is this oven. So we're gonna go top shelf. Yeah, I know. I like to load the oven up and let everything finish up in here. You know, helps my day end better. I know that like the moisture from the mac and cheese will soften up the pork chops and not cause that to not brown as fast and all those things. I know those things. It's whatever, guys. Like, I'm not at work. I'm just trying to make dinner for my family. Alright, so we turn the heat down here, but we're going to toast off some roux. I'm not going to use any more flour. I'm going to take this this breading right here and turn that into a roux. Just like that. I mean, it's already seasoned. It's already, you know, I mean, the fat's already there. I can't reuse the fat for anything else, really. So this screams make gravy. That's another thing that I teach my kids. You know, here in the South, we're all about, you know, pan gravy or just a good gravy, whatever. Um, I mean, that's classic French technique, guys. Like deglaze the pan, get the fond up, make a roux, like all that's French. Like that's what I learned in culinary school. It's what my chefs did. It's what my grandma did. And I think it's crazy that you know we don't associate you know high end cuisine with gravy, but a lot of your classic sauces were pan sauces. So I wasn't recording while I was talking. I made a roux, added the milk, made the paste. I might have to do a whole nother video on how to make gravy or sauce out of a roux. But you can see there's some lumps in here, but that's I mean that's pieces of the pork chop or whatever that came off. Um, shouldn't have to season this a whole lot because that flour was already seasoned. That's why you didn't see me salt and pepper in the pork chop. I'm not positive how heavily seasoned that stuff is with an end product. Um, we'll look when we'll taste one when it comes out and see. Yeah, gonna mix it up. So once you have your milk fully incorporated with your roux, you just kind of gotta let it come to a simmer so that roux will cook out and starch explodes, thicken the whole sauce. So this is what we're looking for. We're looking for it to bubble. It's one of my favorite parts of making sauce is watching it thicken.
We're at a nice boil in the middle. Stir it just to keep it from scorching. We just want this whole thing to do that now. So one of the things people need to learn about sauces, when it bubbles, the bigger the bubbles, the thicker the sauce. So really tiny bubbles, it's liquid. The bigger the bubbles, the thicker it gets. Also, liquids tend to be thinner at room temp than they are at at heat. So it might look like absolute water right here, but bigger bubbles, it's going to be thicker especially when it cools down.
So we're looking for 140, 145 on these pork chops. They'll carry over. Yeah, so we're good. That's another one of my pet peeves, guys. It's not the 90s, 80s anymore. Pork chops don't have to go to 160. Stop overcooking your pork, please. I beg you. It'll just be a better world out here.
I will admit I had to go to broiler a little bit for the mac and cheese and for the zucchini over here, just to get some brown on it. But this is what we're looking for, guys. That nice, creamy, ooey gooey goodness.